It is a real honor for me to be here today, and actually it's the first time for me in this very beautiful country, in Azerbaijan, and in this very beautiful city, Baku. So clearly the perspective of a contractor like Saipem is slightly different, and Saipem is a company that is operating in drilling activity, construction activity, both offshore and onshore, and is doing this since 67 years now, because we were founded in 1957. So, which is our view in terms of energy security? If we stick to energy security, the view is always the same, because what we do, we help our clients in designing and construct energy infrastructures. And energy infrastructures are at the base of the security of supply. And thinking of our history here in Azerbaijan, I cannot recall the fact that pipes being laid by Saipem, they start from the bottom of the sea here in the country, and they finally end in Italy at the landing point of the TAP pipeline, delivering and securing gas to Italy and Europe. So we are part of the security of supply. Why? Because we simply help our clients in designing and realizing their projects. Clearly, if we put this in the framework of the energy transition, what we do care today is to be sure we have in our offers also not only the traditional oil and gas upstream activity that is starting from drilling wells to laying pipes, to build oil and gas separation plant, to build plant for treating the gas and putting the gas as spec to be sold. This is our traditional activity, but we have enlarged our offer also for not just gas, for example, to be utilized as a fuel, but gas to be utilized as a raw material to produce, for example, ammonia. That is a very important product because ammonia, it's a molecule that contains a large number of atoms of hydrogen. So it's the best way today to transport hydrogen in a safe manner, and through facilities that are very similar to the one that we used to know to transport. So it can be pipelines, it can be ships, it can be whatever we need to transport energy. And then from ammonia, the next step, the following step is urea, for example. That means fertilizers for a world that sees a continuous increasing in population, and so a continuous increase of need of food. So hydrocarbons should not be seen only as fuels, but also raw materials for transformation and, for example, for getting food on the tables of all the people around the world. In this area, for example, we developed technology and proprietary technology for producing urea that are most advanced one, and we are building plants all around the world. This does not mean that we are doing nothing to be more efficient and more effective on the traditional oil and gas activity. So certainly we do care to offer solution for our client where Energy utilization for the plant itself is minimized, so fuel gas is minimized. Gas released to atmosphere is minimized. I mean especially all technology to control boil-off gas in all LNG plants. And also technologies to capture CO2. Because CO2 capture and storage is the way to continue to utilize hydrocarbons where in the so-called hard-to-abate sectors, and making the utilization of hydrocarbon not increasing the CO2 already in the atmosphere, by means of capturing it, transporting, and storing it. On top of that, we developed also our offers in the renewable sector. Clearly, the renewable sector that it is more close to the heart of Saipem is the offshore wind, because Saipem is an offshore company. We have several vessels working every single day in all the seas of the planet. But our flagship vessel, the Saipem 7000, that was a lifting vessel that was designed to serve the oil and gas industry, to install very big platforms, in the last 5 years has been utilized mainly, I would say almost 100%, for offshore wind activity, for installing foundation for offshore wind farms. And we developed a unique capabilities in terms of foundation for offshore wind farms, because we did all kinds of foundations, starting from traditional jackets, anchored with piles, drill pipes. We did gravity-based foundation for offshore wind farm, coming to the latest one that are the so-called monopile foundation, that they need a really special kind of techniques, because just the one that we are doing north of France, we are drilling monopiles of 9.5 meters of diameters. That is not an easy task. If you think that an oil well is drilled in 30 centimeters of diameter, 9.5 meters, it's something completely different. It's like tunneling vertical. So that's what we're doing. We enlarge our offer, make sure we can optimize the traditional oil and gas in terms of reducing emission, capturing CO2 where it's not possible to be captured, utilize hydrocarbon to generate finally food, and also helping the renewable sector in the offshore wind.
How has your business mix shifted over the last 2 years, specifically in light of, I would say, a refocus on energy security in Europe? And how do you expect the trend for the next few years going forward? Right? You gave great examples of the overall portfolio strongly diversifying. I always get the impression we have a balance, right? On the one hand, we keep building renewables and expanding, also here in the region, but on the other hand, we also need to reinvest and need to accelerate our investments in traditional energies. So how do you see that dynamic playing out in the requests and the demand that you see?
So contractors are very practical. So we measure the business shift in terms of new contracts coming. And I have to admit that there is a big difference between policies announced, what it is vocal, and what are the actual piece of paper signed by developers, international oil companies, and national oil companies. And this is the reality. So the reality is that, for example, offshore wind, that is a sector that is very important for the energy transition, is certainly seeing a pause, especially in Europe, but also in the US, because I believe that all the world has realized that the costs are much higher than they were projected 3-4 years ago, or even 5 years ago, because there was the expectation that the cost was going down, like for the electronics. But this is not the case. When you drill a foundation hole, you drill a foundation hole. And there is no way this can cost half of what it costed 10 years ago. So now, policymakers, they start to realize, especially in the UK, that they need to raise the level of the contract for difference, that are the power purchase agreement that allows then developers to carry on activity, to raise their level, to make sure this industry, it is not only sustainable from the environmental point of view, but it is sustainable also for the economic point of view, because realizing offshore wind farm cannot be done at the expenses of the supply chain. So this is something. So we speak all renewables, but actually renewables are not getting a quicker pace, at least what I see. On the other hand, I see very good signs on carbon capture, because carbon capture it's a technology that very known, and I would say that we see the piece of paper signed, that are the contracts coming. So after 3-4 years of having many announcements, now they are coming. So the shift is carbon capture is becoming a reality in Europe, in the Far East, in many places, and we see as contractor request and demand from our clients.